What is more important, the things that you play or the things that you don't? Well, sorry to disappoint, it's the things that you don't. Today we're going to talk about muting and rocking in the free world in beginner video number 12. Hello and welcome to another video with me, Elmo. It's good to have you along. Yes, Rocking in the Free World by Neil Young and muting and also some open chords. If you get a handle on this quickly, you can jump ahead a bit and learn the whole song basically. So let's get going. First of all, there are two kinds of muting, or at least two kinds of muting. For the purposes of this video, two kinds of muting. There's the fretting hand muting and picking hand muting, and we're going to be doing both. And both are extremely useful skills to have for slightly different reasons. Muting is when you mute a string so that it doesn't make a note, like so. I can mute all the strings. You just get that. With an amp, it would be like this. Turn off delay again. I like delay. So, that's what you do. Now, Rocking in the Free World, this is how it goes. It has variations, but the verses are E power chord, D power chord, C power chord, E5, D5, C5. And so on. Like I said, there are variations of that. But let's just do this because we want to do the whole muting thing. So it starts with an E power chord down, way down here. Now, this is the first place where I mute. So I'm playing the open E string and the second fret on the A string. But all the rest, those strings, I'm muting them. Why? Because I don't want to have to look at my right hand. I'm not really playing these strings, but I am hitting the D string. And if I was just not muting, it would be, which is still within the boundaries of sounding not absolutely horrible, but we're getting there. So, this is the first left-hand muting thing. You press down whichever note you're pressing down. I'm pressing down the second fret on the A string in this case, and then you rest your finger, in this case my index finger, on the rest of the strings. And then you get to the D5, which this is where it gets interesting. Because again, I have two notes, number 5 on the A string, number 7 on the D string. Those two. But this time I'm muting the low E string and these three. Now this is where it would get really bad if I were to just not mute anything, because it would sound like this. Which is a pleasant sounding chord in a way. Let's transpose that half step up. Ah, jazz club. So, the way I mute these is, the principle is pretty much the same. The pinky is resting on these strings, the G, B and E string. My index finger is also resting a bit on those strings, but my index finger is also resting on the low E string. And I'm doubling down on the muting with my middle finger. So, and the same thing with the C, where I press down the third and the fifth on the A and D strings respectively. Now this is really basic bread and butter stuff that if you want to become an intermediate guitar player, you have to know this stuff. You have to be able to mute if you're playing any kind of music, like rock and roll or stuff like that. Play Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. I'm doing all of that stuff. So, again. Now, when you're practicing this, I would suggest that you record yourself while you practice. Not every day, but once a week maybe, to notice how you're progressing. And this has a lot to do with stuff that I've talked about in the beginning of this course. And if you haven't watched the beginning of this course, there's a playlist here. Definitely go and check that out. So that was the left hand, or the fretting hand in case you're left-handed. There's still the fretting hand, which does something as important, because what I'm playing is not just what I'm doing is the first note accented, so it's loud, and then I put my hand down on the strings roughly between the bridge and the bridge pickup. So the part of the hand that I'm resting on the strings is roughly this part, not this. And that dampens the note. It doesn't mute it entirely. But that's a really good thing, so that you can get accents into whatever you're playing. Here I'm muting like so. And even here. That's the way I played. I'm not sure actually how... I was about to say John Lennon, Neil Young plays it, so I'm not sure. Be that as it may, because if you've been playing open chords, which you might have been playing if you're taking guitar lessons from someone, that's usually the stuff they start with pretty quickly. It's all of this. Now, when you're playing chords, that's exactly the way you should be playing them most of the time. You strum your guitar somewhere here. That's fine. But when you're playing rock music with power chords, often you're muting. It just makes for a different kind of vibe when you mute everything. It makes it tighter and more aggressive. So that's one thing. And when you start playing, if you ever start playing single string or single note lines over many strings, this is where I recommend my students that they have their hand placed on the bridge. Not that they're muting, but so that they're not muting. And the muting thing helps. It's a bit different from the muting thing, but it's a good starting point. So get that down really well. So that's the A part of the song. Then we get to the chorus, which is... and that repeats 4 times. So, or it's played 4 times. Now, the way that people teach a G chord is often, you see it written in books like this. You have the 3rd on the low E string, 2nd on the A string, then these three, the D, G and B strings open, and a third on the E string. Like so. You can do it like that if you want to. What I advocate for is cheating. You will need to be able to play it like this at some point, probably. And you will face more tricky chords or trickier chords. What you want to do now is get into the rhythm. So you play the rhythm, because the drummer will not wait for you. So what you do is you can leave out this one and just play. You already have that note on the B string. You can even leave out the lowest two notes, but then you'll have to do some, either just not play them at all, or mute them somehow, but that becomes a bit tricky. So I would just recommend doing two fingers, not a huge bother. Next one is D, not the easiest one in the world, not the most tricky one either. And then the C. So you have the G with the two notes, the D with the index finger on the second fret of the G string, ring finger on the third fret of the B string, middle finger on the second fret of the E string, which is a bit tricky, but in this case you want to not be muting anything. And then you have the C, which is third on the A string, second on the D string, open G, first on the B string, open E. Don't play the E string. You can mute it with the thumb, for instance. And then he does a little... And I think that is played 4 times, so... And then he goes to an A, which is your final open chord for today, which is really simple, but it's, again, I play it differently from what it's taught as normally. It's usually taught as some kind of either, it's 3 number 2s, so it's 2 on the D string, 2 on the G string, 2 on the B string, and it's taught like this, usually with the index, middle, ring finger, or middle, ring, pinky, playing the 2s. I rarely play it like this. I almost always play it as a bar chord, which is a bit trickier. And the thing I do here is, and this might be a bit, you can sure play it like this. Remember to mute the, what's it called, the E string. The way I do it is I press down with the index finger on all of these 3 strings, and then I somehow angle it so that the E string doesn't, it's muted. I don't know how I came to do that. I just did. I do the same with, if we move this about. Play a C chord. I mute the E string with my pinky. But again, yeah, that's as maybe. Those are the chords. And then we go back to. If you haven't watched the whole beginner series, it's linked here. I do hope you consider supporting the channel. There's a link in the description where you can buy me a coffee, or you can just buy me a super thanks here on YouTube. But above all, I hope you had some use of this, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. See you.